Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, they started as a local group of volunteers seeking to provide some form of civil defense to a population under bombardment from its own government. Now, Syria's White Helmets have become a national organization, and one which may be in the running for the Nobel Peace Prize. The move to nominate the group was begun by the late Labour MP Jo Cox, who was killed in her constituency this summer, and it's now been taken up by a range of others. Channel 4 News has seen the letter that Jo Cox wrote to the Nobel Committee nominating the volunteer rescue force who risk their lives to save lives. In her short time as an MP, Jo Cox was haunted by the war in Syria and determined to do as much as she could to give its people a voice.
I have raised repeatedly in this place the need for a no-bombing zone.
Especially those people who act against all their instincts of self-preservation to save lives. The men and women who run into the mayhem after the bombs have gone off. The White Helmets. Jo Cox wanted them to get the Nobel Peace Prize. To save one life is to save humanity. That is their motto, a quote from the Quran. In the most dangerous place on earth, she writes, these volunteers risk their lives to help anyone in need, regardless of religion or politics. After her death, Jo Cox's family were honored by the Syrian rescuers with the white helmet worn by a volunteer killed in service. Before the war, Abdurrahman was an engineer. Now he's a full-time volunteer for the White Helmets.
There aren't many people who know the reality we live in, but one of them was Jo Cox. We are planning to establish a White Helmet group called Jo Cox to save civilians and to carry on the message she was trying to convey to people.
This week sees the release of a television documentary about the White Helmets. In Parliament, MPs have signed a statement backing their nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. But despite this, no one has managed to replace Jo Cox in her advocacy for their cause.
Jo was an absolutely critical figure in UK politics on Syria. She went the extra mile to find out what it was that Syrian civilians on the ground needed.
To those who question their impartiality, the White Helmets insist they never take sides.
As an organisation, we distance ourselves from all the fighting groups and the parties involved in the Syrian conflict. Our only interest is saving civilians. We have been bombed and pressured from many sides, and what has helped us to continue is our neutrality and being independent.
Jo Cox ends her letter by saying, the awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize to these volunteers would do much to ensure their long-term success and survival as the heroes of the greatest humanitarian crisis of our era, and to emphasize peaceful coexistence and solidarity in Syria.